Hey, what's up everybody? Blizzard finally released the upcoming classes, nerfs and buffs. There is also one big change to the Everloom dungeon. Let's dive right into it. So, the expected changes is here and we can better understand the meta and how it shapes. I'll go over the big changes with some final thoughts at the end. I'll leave a link to the blue post at the comments below. So, decays. Blood Decay set bonus has been nerfed a bit and the damage to the Art Strike and Blood Boil reduced to 10% from 20%, and the Vampiric Blood chance also reduced to 5%. Unholy Decay got some big changes. Virulent Plague damage increased by 15%, Epidemic and Festering Wound damage increased by 12%, Festering Strike damage increased by 20%, and the Ghoul Sweeping Claws damage increased by 15%. Demon Hunter, I hope it's gonna be a big nerf. Fel Rush, Immolation Aura and Fel Barrage damage reduced by 12%. Right now Havoc damage is absolutely busted. I know a lot of people have been expecting this nerf. Do you think this nerf is enough? Let me know in the comments below. Resto Druid. Sadly, they nerfed Resto Druid Cat from damage, Ferocious Bite damage decreased by 20%, Reap damage decreased by 15%, and both Rake and Shred damage decreased by 10%. This is a big part of the Resto Druid single target damage, and we will see the impact of it after the reset. Devastation Evokers got some buffs, all damage spells increased by 5%, Regenerative Magic increased Leech by 5%, it was 3%, and Draconic Legacy increased Stamina by 8%, was 6%. Beastmaster Hunter, another expected change. The new Forced bonus has been nerfed. Dire Beast kill command damage reduced by 30% and Beast Cleave gained by Dire Beast effectiveness reduced by 30%. Let's talk about monks. If you did some raiding in the last 2 weeks, you probably saw that Mistweaver Monk HPS is crazy. The changes is targeting the raid build more than the M+ build, but there is some changes. Mana Tea now reduced the mana cost of spells by 25%, was 50. Upwilling can now stack to 15 down from 18. Essence Font healing decreased by 10%, Invigorating Mist healing decreased by 10%, Vivify primary healing increased by 5%, this is an M+ slight buff. Ancient Concordance has 12% chance for Blackout Kick to reset Rising Sun Kick by 12%, up from 10%. Windwalker Monk got increased damage to all his abilities by 6%. In my opinion, this isn't enough to make this spec competitive, and on a personal note, it's a shame to see how low the spec is. Holy Paladin got some damage buffs, Crusader Strike deals 25% increased damage and Hammer Refret deals 20% increased damage. Disc Priest, all healing reduced by 3% and all damage reduced by 3%. I think that if they nerf Resto Druid damage, they also need to nerf Disc Priest damage. Holy Priest changes. All healing increased by 4%. The 2 set changes a bit. Renews caused by Serenity now lasts 18 seconds, up from 14, and Renews caused by Sanctify now lasts 6 seconds, up from 5. Assassination Rogue, another spec that has impact on the meta that got nerfed a bit. Kingsbane damage reduced by 15%. Blindside effect chance reduced to 15% down from 20, and also 30% against low health targets, down from 40%. Resto Shaman, the unplayable healer, got some buffs. Chain Light damage increased by 20% and Acid Rain damage increased by 10%. There is also some dungeon changes, with one big change to the Everbloom. Blizzard changed the way the second boss in the Everbloom works. Now you can no longer line of sight the charges of the boss, and you can no longer stack the 3 bosses. The line of sight cheese mechanic made this boss easy, but now the Everbloom gonna be even harder than before. On Wakehurst Manor you can no longer pre-shapeshift the Soul Thorns on Soulbound Goliath. This will make this fight harder for some classes. There is also some changes to Trinkets. Blossom of Amidrosil damage and healing increased by 10%. The Sun Collar self-damage increased by 20%. And the big nerf is for the Augury. The damage nerfed by 33% and the RPPM increased to 1.5. This is some big change to this trinket. So, some final thoughts. I think that the Havoc nerf is the big nerf we needed. Their damage was off the charts with only Immolation Aura. I hope this will shake up the DPS meta. I personally don't like Havoc at the top. I see a lot of pulls and deaths Havoc players do by mistake with the movement build they have. In my opinion, there is an high skill cap in his current movement build and people need better understanding on how to play this class correctly. I think the second noticeable change is for BM Hunters. Their damage was really high and I think this change can tune them a bit. The other changes won't affect the meta so much, maybe we will see some unholy decays. From a healer point of view, I think we expected all those nerfs. Resto Druid got some big nerf to his single target damage, but the spec is still a meta healer. I really like a multi-meta comps, and now that we have 3 competitive tanks and 3 to 4 competitive healers, the meta can be a lot of things and not restrict players to one comp like last season. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts. Don't forget to check my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Peace.